Hello, everyone, and welcome to a show FYI for your investments. Today, I have with me none other than a multifaceted personality, someone who's a trader, who's an investor, and who's a very big influencer. Abhishek Kar. Abhishek, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Nainesh, for inviting me with this show.
Sure. So for all our users today, a very exciting person, someone who's been trading for about 11 years. Let me introduce to you Abhishek Kar. Abhishek is known by the name Dr. VWAP and is a derivative trader for 11 years now. He's been a three-time speaker at the TEDx and four times at the Joe Stock. And he's a part of a lot of conferences that we see on trading. Abhishek has also written a book. He's written a book called Stocks in Life, which was a hot seller for 4 consecutive days on Amazon. And as we know it, he's been around on Twitter, on YouTube, and everywhere around, spreading a lot of knowledge on trading. So today, I'm very excited to talk to you, Abhishek, learn about your trading journey. I'm sure our viewers are also excited to speak to you, learn about how you've actually matured as a trader, and take some tips from you on becoming a full-time trader. So, Abhishek, let's start off. First, tell me about your journey. What brought you into trading, investing, stock markets? What was the interest that got you here?
So, the ultimate interest for everyone to come over here is obviously money. So, money is a driving force. We can't deny that. But to be very honest, it wasn't pre-decided that I would actually land up into stock markets because I don't come from a family which was ever engaged into stock markets. Even till date, I am probably one of those rare people in my entire family tree who is into the stock markets. Rest, most of the people have chosen the conventional path, the safer paths, like doing a job, being a professor, being a scientist, etc. So for me, right from the beginning, it was like I need to do something different, something which no one else is doing around me. And that was the core agenda. And it was during the graduation. I'm a commerce student. So during the graduation, there is a subject called business studies, wherein one of our faculty members actually introduced me to the world of capital markets, stock markets, IPOs, etc. And we were assigned a project wherein I was supposed to do some research around Warren Buffett. And that is how this entire curiosity actually sparked within me that yes, there is someone who's making legit good amount of money through the markets. Now, the obvious counter, Nanish, would be that Warren Buffett as a value investor, then why are you into trading and investing? The thing is that essentially I did try out with investing, but very early I did realize that in Indian context, if you really want to make a good amount of money from a base capital, from a scratch, just like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala sir said, you need to resort to some other sources of income because first you need to build up a base capital. I'm not saying that investing cannot build up a great amount of capital, but it takes time. So that is where I had to switch the gears and then devote my time towards trading. There were a couple of ups and downs, to be very precise. First 2.5 years, 2 years, I just did gambling. Gambling in the sense like buying 52-week low, just thinking that how low it can go, selling 52-week high, how high it can go, making some weird strategy wherein I'll sit around the TV. I'll pick up my 5 favorite analysts, I'll pick 2 of their calls, and then just see how things work out. On paper, everything was working out wonderfully. When I did try to execute it and the real time, it didn't work. So I did all those random things. And it was after that brief moment of 2.5 years that I realized that I should actually quit trading because, as what others around me say, it's gambling, it's pure gambling. But then, since I didn't have much to lose at that point of time, my parents hardly gave me any pocket money. I was not having any money. So, in terms of the amount of money which I had lost, like by blowing up my capital by 5 or 6 times, wasn't huge because I hardly had 1,000, 1,500 rupees every time in my pocket. So, I didn't lose much. So, I decided that so far, whatever I've done is without learning. So, let's do one thing, let's go do some learning. So we had a central library out in our city. I used to sit there for a long period of hours. Then I used to visit the broker's office. And for those people who are pretty new to the world of broking, so for example, now Fisdom and all other brokers are providing such wonderful online opportunities. But days when I started, it used to be physical brokers mainly. They used to have offices, and online broking was actually picking up. But then mostly you had to sign up. I remember I have signed up 48 pages or 52 pages just to open my demat account. So we went through that particular tedious process. So that is the time when your broker yourself used to be the relationship manager. That relationship manager used to be the advisor, and that used to be the person who used to make money, and you eventually were going to lose money on his tips. So that was the guy who actually introduced me to derivatives, intraday trading. So I'm thankful to that guy, irrespective of the fact that he never helped me to make money. He was always on the verge of extracting money. But yes, when I started learning, studying, going to the broker's office and looking around how there were a couple of traders who were making really good sums of money, that gave me a conviction that yes, trading could be a good career. I had a short stint of job because I had to accumulate some funds, then did some corporate training which was not related to trading. It was related to corporates and all. That is how I accumulated some fund, and then I became a full-time trader. So 2.5 years gambling, 4 years net loss. After 4 years, the break even actually broke, and then slow and steady. And to be very precise, last 4.5 to 5 years is basically where the profit levels have been higher. Before that, it was like okay, decent amount.
Sure. So interesting. I think a lot of learnings from this that you explained. One is everyone starts off wrong. So the same way you did, I also started off wrong. Started off about let's say 15 years back. Same way, losing money, not understanding what I'm doing, kind of trying to buy in every low, hoping that one day the stock will triple and you'll make money. I mean, yeah, interesting. Also, let's talk about you mentioned that you were introduced to derivatives, technicals by your broker who was helping himself make money until
Mhm.
you realize that these are the products. Also, let's talk about this. Let's talk about someone who's starting off, a retail trader. My first question to you is, would you suggest them to kind of take the technical analysis route, or should you just be value investors in the market? A lot of people ask us this question, and this is a question which is important to answer. Should you, when you start off learning technicals and start trading derivatives, or what should someone who's starting off take up?
So let's simplify it for a layman also. So first of all, you need to identify what's your ultimate aim. Why are you actually coming into the markets? For a lot of people who have actually come into the market since 2020, their sole intention was that we didn't have much to do at home. We wanted to resort to some really good activity, and plus, if it can give us money, what could be better than that? So just for the adrenaline rush, a lot of people stepped into trading. And you would realize that the shocks which actually came after the Russia-Ukraine war, a lot of people, not just in our country but even in the United States, you could have seen that a lot of people eventually started going back to the what we call as the Robin Hood traders. They started going back to their jobs, and then they realized that trading isn't that easy. So the biggest problem is people are not able to first of all identify why they want to come into trading.
Yeah.
So do a very simple thing. If you're someone whom, if I wake you up at the night 1 o'clock also from your sleep, and you are ready to discuss about stock market, stocks, charts, you can talk about the levels, then that's a one good sign that yes, you are really passionate about it. If the first thing you say ki 1 baje pe उठने के बाद ना 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 I'm not interested, then probably you're not meant for market. Second is
Yeah,
uh
I think
anyway,
I think one
yeah,
more. Sorry, 1 o'clock at night. If I wake you up and you ask me the first question, what is SGX? That tells you
yeah.
that you are a trader. Go
True,
ahead.
true, 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 true. Next is so basically you have to first define whether you're really passionate or not. And a lot of people, they keep on saying you have to be passionate, you have to be passionate, but no one is actually defining what is passion. So this is one criteria through which you define. Second is you are ready to devote time for the markets. A lot of people, they are coming with a mindset that okay, today I'm learning something, I'll go take some training. Within 2 months, I should turn out to be a good trader for that matter. To all intents and purposes, that's not how markets actually function. The late Rakesh Junjunwala actually spent 25, 30 years. The best of the best traders you would see, even after 10, 11 years, they say that we are still a learner. So that's an attribute that if you're ready to learn almost every day, you're ready to adopt with the changing market. Because I always say markets are like amoeba, they keep on changing every now and then. So you need to adapt with it. If you're not able to adapt with it, you probably won't be able to succeed. So second thing is, are you ready to learn various nuances? Or if you're someone who gets settled down within a comfort zone that okay, now I know everything, is probably not the right place for you. So that's the second thing. Third, very important is, are you having some ability to take risk? I've seen a lot of people who have become so used with the traditional tools of asset classes like fixed deposits and all, that now they expect that once they come into the stock market, they should get linear fashion returns, which never happens because stock markets has phases. There would be times when it would go up. There would be time it would go for sideways, maybe for years also, and then down, up, down. So you need to have that aptitude. You have to have that risk taking capability, because at the end, trading is also a business. And just think from a perspective, if you today, if I ask you, Nainesh, to start a business, it never happens that today itself you start a business and tomorrow you'll get success. Some businesses
I
get
agree.
success in 3 months, 3 years, some get 4 years, 5 years. So you have to be ready to devote that sort of time. So the very first thing is identify your goal, identify whether you're passionate or not. Let's say I'll talk about whether you're passionate, what to do. If you're not passionate, if you get that answer that no, I only came here just to earn some additional bucks, then there's no necessity that you should actually become a full-time trader. Rather, work on your skill sets. I know this might sound like, oh, he's saying not to be a trader, but I'm just giving legit. I'm being very blunt over my channel also and everywhere. I'm saying that if you're not passionate and you still want to earn money from markets, just go the ETF route, just go the index fund route. As simple as that. Like I told in the in our last video as well, that
Yeah.
you can just do this thing. So if you're not passionate, just go the mutual fund route, just go the equity route. Focus on your own skill set, try to increase your active source of income which can be deployed into the markets. Now coming, if you are passionate, like for me, I got that answer that I was passionate. Now I always say this is a very important thing, might turn out to be controversial, but I'll tell you over here that even in the starting phases, psychology is the most important aspect when you want to become a trader. The challenge which I identified in the initial stages of my career is because when I was only dependent upon trading income, that was actually becoming a lot of, it was creating a lot of burden on my head. Why? Because now I'm the sole earner of my family. Okay. Now, if I am the sole earner, I have bills to pay, I have rent to pay, and if I am actually expecting an uncertain market to pay it all to me, it would become difficult. So what I always say is that stock market can be a major source of your income, but it should not be your only source of your income. So for instance, even you look into Rakesh Junjunwala sir, he was into real estate, he was into movies, he was into a lot of stuff. People say he was not into training because it was not his speciality. Let's face it. He knows this thing that he was probably not that great speaker. So you can't just impose that everyone has to be a trainer, everyone has to be a coaching person. Second, Radhakishan Damani sir, he was into broker. He had a brokerage. He earned decent amount of bucks from there. He was into real estate. He was into DMart. Come on, DMart has no relation with direct relation with stock markets, but he, because that was his dream, his ambition.
Sure.
Rakesh Junjanwala is into movies. Even if you go into foreign countries, you would realize that most of the biggest traders are having some alternate streams. For example, Jim Simons, you say, is a very good trader, but moreover, he's a fund manager. So basically, he's getting a net income, a commission out of others' fund. So it's not like he's just trading his own account. He also has plethora of things. The point I'm trying to make is I soon realized that I need to have this alternate streams, because initially what happened during my college days while I was doing my post graduation, so I had a very lucky streak in the sense I was making 10-15,000 a day for young blood.
Wow.
Making 10
That's too
fifteen
much.
thousand constant, yeah, it was quite a bit. So I was like, now I need not to do a job or anything, my thing is completely settled. It was only after I guess 5 or 6 months that the streak broke, and the mistake I was doing was with position sizing. So I was going all in. So as long as trend was working in my favor, I was making money. But within just a week, I lost 50% of my capital. So that was a reminder that it's not that easy, Abhishek. So then I realized that psychologically, to be free, I first need to have some proper establishment. So I did a job. So there's nothing wrong if someone in the initial stages of the career is doing a job or a business or anything. It's completely fine. Yes, once you reach a huge scale, wherein you say that, okay, I'm just going to put in an option selling strategy or anything, that's fine. But still, I would say, I would recommend that have some stream. It could be anything. It could be a business, it could be a chai ka thela, it could be anything. Just keep it around that. So that's the next thing which a person needs to do. Third, the most important thing is read a lot. Last session also I said, if you're not a reader, observe a lot, speak to people. See, either you have two ways: either build up a network where you can speak
Yeah.
to real-time traders, real-time brokers. A lot of people say we don't have that network. Then read. There are so many good traders. I'll also recommend, if you don't mind, a few books over here
Please do. I was
for.
going to ask you that. The next
Okay.
question. Recommend some
so
books to
so
us.
so see, I understood your psychology. So I'm going to. So that is Market Wizards by Jack Schwager. This is a must read. It has got multiple facets, multiple traders, real-time traders who have done really phenomenal job. So that's one book. Second is Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone. Very good book. And you would be surprised to know. So I was speaking to a trader whose his own book is around 200 cr. Okay, own book. I'm not
Wow.
even talking about, yeah. Very
Wow.
silent, not on social media and all. He says that every third or fourth month, second or third month, I'm again rereading this book, because every time I'm reading this book, I'm getting something out of it. So Mark Douglas is a champion when it comes to this thing. So that's the second book, Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. So this talks about Jesse Livermore, the kind of operator psychology and all those things. A bit of story styling, but a
Right.
must read for the people. So just see, I've told you three books as of now. None of it is technical. None of it is hardcore fundamental. But this is something which would work around your psychology. And then Alexander Elder has also written some phenomenal books. That is also what I suggest. So now what happens is, when you're reading these books, a lot of people are just hunting around strategies. It took time. That 4 years actually went to understand strategy is just 20%. Unless your psychology is built, unless your risk management is at place, you can't make money into the stock market. So first, that person whosoever is aspiring to become a trader, this is something which has to do. And now on a simple front, let's say, Nainesh, you're doing a job and you tell me, Abhishek, I want to leave my job and become a full-time trader. First, I'll ask you whether you have surplus fund for the next 3 years, which is other than your trading capital. What does it mean? So let's assume you do your maths, your monthly. So we'll do a few maths. So your monthly expenses, including everything, let's say you don't have much obligation, is 20,000 rupees. That is something which is the bare minimum. So in a year, it is 2.4 lakh rupees. So 2.4 into 3, that is coming around 7.2 lakh rupees. So 7.2 at minimum. Okay. This has to be something which has to be kept aside. And this is other
Sure.
than 10, 15 lakh. Now you might ask, Nanish, I'm pretty sure some of the audiences would ask, hey, दिस मच कैपिटल हमारे पास कहाँ से आएगा, हमारे पास इतना कहाँ से आएगा. मैं सिंपल सा बता दूं, नैनेश, टुडे इवन इफ यू आर गोइंग टू अ टायर 2 सिटी, even if you are doing engineering, the average package which people are getting, even an average student is getting 4.5 to 5 lakh. When you are a bachelor, आप 3 साल में ये पैसा बचा सकते हैं. Now don't tell me you don't even have a time for 3 years. Just focus on your studies, just focus on your learning aptitude, and you will have that capital. So this is part the process. Before I move further, if you have some question, Dinesh, so far
I do.
I'll
I
have
do.
to.
A lot of
Sure, sure,
questions. So
sure,
let's
sure,
start
sure.
off. So first thing, I think capital you mentioned, and very convincing. I mean, it's the explanation is quite clear. You know, one is you need enough capital to kind of manage your trading. Second is you need enough fund for 3 years to sustain. Only then can you kind of be around, because markets are not pleasant every time. Let me ask you this question: capital for a retail trader, how much is enough to start?
5 lakh
5 lakh capital is enough to kind of
to start. So
get the
you're saying
ball.
full time, or okay? So
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell you.
full time.
First of all, a retail trader, what should be his mindset? Just start with 1,000 rupees. Some of you might say that we can't do options in future. Who the hell is saying you to do those things when you are starting up? When you're starting up, you have to start with cash. You can go intraday. There is a 5x leverage out there. You can do swing trade. You can do everything. But 1,000 rupees is something which you need to blow up, so that even 10 times if you are blowing, you are learning something out of it. So first of all, to start off practicing, 1,000 rupees is sufficient. Now, coming to the point, if I want to become a full-time trader, so first, that amount which has to be kept aside, that depends on your expenses, your obligation. So
Correct.
let's say, Nanish, if you have an educational loan, you have a house loan, and that itself comes out to be 40,000, and then you are just keeping like 6 lakh rupees aside, it doesn't make sense. If you're thinking that me 3 महीने में तो market दे ही देगा, it's not like that. I've seen a lot of people who put in undue pressure on their mind. I remember, I'll tell you real life situation. So COVID, there was a good student of mine who was doing job into an IT job, and he was making some good gains for, the COVID period. A lot of people
Yeah.
were making gains. So he took a leap of faith and said that I'll leave my job because I have 6 months of surplus income kept aside. I'll take care of the bills and everything. Now suddenly, when the market started becoming volatile, when it stopped going into the linear fashion, first he had some drawdowns, but he had created some sort of discipline. But within 3 months, I'm not saying he blew up his capital or anything, but he did realize that how important it is to have some additional buffer out there. And then he immediately started reapplying, and right now he's doing a job. It's not like he has lost his faith or job. He just realized this mistake, that I probably needed to have a bigger buffer out there. So now this is his plan, that I'll continue trading some positional strategies, because now he's hooked up with this thing. I'll continue to build up my capital, but first I'll have some buffer capital out there, and then I'll leave. Because my answer is very simple, Nanish. When you say I want to become a full-time trader, I'm going to leave my job, what's the guarantee that right from the first month you're going to make money? Have you proven yourself into the market? Have you? So my theory, I'll tell you, when I left job, I left my job when I started realizing that month on month I was making 4x of what I was getting into job. And this was over a period of 9 to 10 months. I even say that wait for at least 3 years, but at that time, see, we were getting some leverage benefits and all, and I took some leap of faith. But then 4x for continuously 10 to 11 months itself is showing that yes, you probably, so let's say, it goes like very simple. If you're making 50,000 through your salary, if suddenly you start making 2 lakh rupees every month for 10 to 11 months, you also have your
Right.
buffer, you have your confidence, and then you can take leap of faith. Second
Sure.
is, please, this is a very important thing. Please don't become a full-time trader with borrowed funds. Because when you're taking it with borrowed funds or loan, you don't realize that market is not going to linear fashion. So every month it is not going to give you 3-4%. It's only on paper that everyone is getting 3-4% every month. If it was the reality, I guess 136 crore की पूरी जनता ट्रेडिंग में ही होती. They know that this is not the reality. तो आप कभी लोन से आप करोगे तो you always have that pressure in your head. Oh my god, I have to get 7%, 8%. उसके ऊपर जो होगा, that is my profit. And plus
Right.
banks are not going to wait. They will always ask. So this is something which needs to. So retain 5 lakh capital at least, even if they are doing a cash strategy. If they are coming into options selling, that's the starting point they're thinking as a full-time trader, 15 lakh minimum. And I'll tell you, Nainesh, let's do an interesting math. आपको आंसर सबको इससे मिल जाएगा, ठीक है? Are you ready with
Sure.
that? I'm going to
Sure.
ask you
Ready.
questions, okay? So Nainesh,
Ready.
if you don't mind, in which city do you reside? City.
Mumbai. Mumbai.
Mumbai, ठीक है. And with your family or alone?
Family with family. Yes.
फैमिली, ठीक है. सो एवरेज आप बताओ कि एक जॉब होल्डर का एक मुंबई में अगर उसको अपनी फैमिली, लेट्स से 2 किड्स हैं, पेरेंट्स के साथ भी रह रहे हैं, तो कितना खर्चा जाता होगा? व्हाट वुड बी द आइडियल एक्सपेंसेस?
Do you count
अंदाजन.
rent in that? Do you count rent
एवरीथिंग,
in?
एवरीथिंग, व्हाटएवर आई हैव टू पे इंक्लूडिंग रेंट, कितना जाता होगा?
A lakh
अप्रॉक्स
plus. A
लाख
lakh
प्लस,
plus.
लाख लाख पकड़ लेते हैं अपन. चलिए
हाँ
अपन
lakh.
बोलते हैं कि यार आप बहुत ही नॉर्मल जगह पे भी रहते हो, 50,000 ले लेते हैं, बिकॉज मतलब आई एम जस्ट
Yeah.
एज्यूमिंग कि कंजूस सी कर रहे, ठीक
Yeah.
है? 50,000 per month, right? So
Yes. Per month.
50,000 into 12 is 6 lakh rupees, ठीक है?
6 lakhs.
तो आइडियली एक फुल टाइम ट्रेडर जो बनेगा वो ये सोचेगा एटलीस्ट 6 to 7 लाख तो निकले. एंड प्लस यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू टेक अ रिस्क जस्ट टू गेट दैट 6-7 लाख. आप उसके ऊपर भी तो एटलीस्ट 6-7 लाख कमाना चाहोगे ना, अदरवाइज इट डजंट मेक सेंस. जॉब चल रहा है, जॉब बढ़िया चल रहा है, करेक्ट? तो
Correct.
लेट्स एज्यूम कि हमारा 6 लाख प्लस हम राउंड ऑफ करने के लिए 4 लाख लेते हैं, 10 लाख रुपीज, ठीक है? अब इंटरेस्टिंग होगा. द बेस्ट ट्रेडर ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड, Jim Simons, who has an impeccable record for the last 20 years of 66% CAGR.
CAGR.
66% का CAGR है. ये 0.00001% वाला ट्रेडर है. Now I am assuming कि आप वो ट्रेडर हो. ऐसा होता नहीं है 0.00, but I am even assuming that also. We are taking the positive because people shouldn't think कि pessimistic है, positive है. तो आपका मैं एक राउंड ऑफ फिगर लेता हूँ, 60% का रिटर्न है, ठीक है? तो नैनेश, नाउ डू द रफ मैथ. अगर आपको 10 लाख रुपए निकालना है तो साल भर का आपका कैपिटल कितना होना चाहिए अगर आप 66% का भी रिटर्न बना रहे हो? चलिए इसको राउंड ऑफ कर लेते हैं. अगर 60% का रिटर्न है और आपका 6 लाख रुपए का खर्चा है, तो आपको कितना कैपिटल चाहिए एटलीस्ट?
If your kharcha is 6 lakhs,
यस,
then you need minimum 10 lakh रुपए तो you need
मिनिमम 10 लाख रुपए चाहिए, करेक्ट?
to just meet your expenses.
जस्ट टू. और अगर हम इसी को 12 लाख बोलते हैं जो हमको चाहिए, तो एटलीस्ट 20 लाख चाहिए. So this is the
Minimum.
math. If you are the best trader, this is the best case we are saying, 20 lakh is what you need. And if you fall into average, you need at least 50 lakh capital. Now, मैं starting में अगर बोल देता ना 50 लाख चाहिए, अरे यार क्या बोल रहा है? The point is, everyone has glamorized it so much that no one is actually talking about the real stuff. The real stuff is you really need that sort of sum. And now you understand why anyone who has just left a job trying to come into trading, even if that person is good in trading, they try to have at least 4-5 sources of income because they want to come to that threshold of 50 lakh rupees. Now you're getting this thing. So just imagine, Nainesh, अगर मैं सीधे बोलता 50 lakh, it would have been daunting, but I've given you the maths why it is required. So this is exactly how you plan. So I'm not saying कि सबको 50 lakh चाहिए. Some might say कि नहीं, मेरा रिटर्न तो छोटे कैपिटल पे ज्यादा हो सकता है. I completely agree, but I cannot generalize this thing. अगर generalize बोलोगे, this is the kind of capital you need. If you're exceptionally well, तो ऐसे भी लोग हैं जिनने 5 लाख भी किया है. बट आई ऑलवेज से डोंट ट्राई टू कंपेयर योरसेल्फ विद एन आउटलायर बिकॉज दैट इज हाउ अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हैव डिस्ट्रॉयड देयर लाइफ. मैं वॉरेन बफेट बनूंगा, कितने वॉरेन बफेट बने? मैं चार्ली मंगर बनूंगा, कितने बने? मैं जिम साइमंस बनूंगा, कितने जिम साइमंस से ज्यादा बैंकरप्ट हो गए? तो ये है, आउटलायर के साथ कंपेयर मत करो, एवरेज करना है. तो दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ कैपिटल यू नीड टू ब्रिंग.
Interesting. I think the calculation now really kind of fits in. I've seen a lot of traders, Abhishek. I'm sure you have also. You've been talking about it on Twitter as well. The Twitter screenshots, and those screenshots are so glamorized. People actually land up leaving jobs to kind of become full-time traders without understanding what goes behind trading. And you've been always, since when, talking about psychology. Let me kind of talk to you about this. As a trader, we've seen it. You've been, one of them out there who's always been open about going wrong. If you've gone wrong, you've said, "Hey, this view had gone wrong, and I accept it." Let's talk about this. How do you handle losses? The biggest question is that. What do you do, and how do you kind of handle your drawdowns? And assuming they're
Okay.
continuous, what's the way out?
Hmm. So first of all, with the time you spend in the markets, your maturity level also goes up. So as of now the stage at which I've reached, I know what could be my maximum loss. Now you would say, what if there is a gap up, gap down? I still know. So for example, every day when I'm taking an overnight position, let's say if I'm taking into an uncertain environment, because you never know, black swan event बता के नहीं आता, वो अचानक से किसी दिन भी हो जाता है. So I'm always getting exposed with only that amount of capital, that even if there is a drawdown, it would hardly matter to me, in the sense कि मैं हर दिन एज्यूम कर रहा हूँ कि इंडेक्स मेरे अगेंस्ट 10% खुलेगा. एंड नाउ लुक इनटू द हिस्ट्री ऑफ द एंटायर स्टॉक मार्केट. आपको 20 साल में 25 साल में एक आध बार दिखेगा, हार्डली दिखेगा. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई एम मेंटली प्रिपेयर्ड दैट आई एम नॉट एक्सपोजिंग माय एंटायर फंड्स आउट देयर. दैट्स नंबर वन. Second is, let's say on my larger corpus, if I'm taking some position, so I either take condors or something overnight, ताकि मेरा hedged position जा रहा है वहां पे. I need not to panic. So for example, today also to some people close to me, I had given some things. तो हमने आराम से उसको, वीकेंड है, पता है हमको डायरेक्शन, हमको लग रहा है कि भाई पुट सेल करके हमारा बनेगा या जो भी करके बनेगा, बट स्टिल वी हैव कैरिड कॉन्डोज. वी नेवर ट्राई टू कैरी नेकेड वंस. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आपको ये चीज समझनी है कि लॉस से बचने का सबसे पहला तरीका है कि ये प्लान कर लो कि लॉस हो ही ना. उसके दो तीन तरीके हैं. फर्स्ट, only take high probability trades. So you must have seen, Nainesh, a lot of people start chasing because of FOMO, that oh, this stock is
Yeah.
going up, this index is going up, I've left it. It's completely fine. I always say market आज भी इधर है, 20 साल बाद भी इधर है, 60 साल बाद भी इधर है. Today if I miss opportunity, I'll again get an opportunity. So for example, I'll tell you, a lot of people were regretting that, oh my god, we missed the entire COVID journey, and now we can't get any up move in the indices. What happened when market came down to 15900, 15800? It again gave a very,
About it.
15200 तक आया था, बहुत प्यारा अपॉर्चुनिटी दिया था, and from there you know where the market actually went, again 18,000. But these are the same people who kept on waiting, अरे फिर मार्केट छूट गया. So market always is giving you those opportunities. So first of all आप ये चीज पर माइंड पे बना लीजिए. थर्ड थिंग इज, लेट्स अज्यूम कि मेरे को लॉस होने भी वाला है, तो आई टेल यू, बिकॉज दिस इज अ वेरी रीसेंट एग्जांपल. So I picked up some positions. Again, it was hedged, but because my position size, I was a little biased at that point of time. I don't mind confessing that. In fact, I confessed on Twitter also. तो मेरा एक bias बन गया था. तो जब मेरे को थोड़ा सा ग्लोबल मार्केट सुबह उठ के दिख जाता है, सी मैं रात को ज्यादा एसटी कुछ भी नहीं देखता हूँ, बिकॉज आई थिंक इट वुड हार्डली मेक एनी डिफरेंस टू माई एग्जिस्टिंग पोजिशंस. जो होना है वो तो सुबह हो गई. अब एसडीएक्स अगर 400 पॉइंट नीचे गिर गया, मेरा लॉन्ग है तो उसका लगने तो है ही, तो it doesn't make sense to spoil my evening. So rather in the morning, if I've seen that yes, Dow is showing, Nasdaq is showing that yes, there would be a gap down, and let's say my bias was, so let's say I was having a ratio of 1:3, that is I had one short and three longs. So first thing is, मेरा short तो मेरे को पैसा देगा, वो I know. अब वो तीन लॉन्ग का टेंशन है. So what I do is I quickly do my mathematics, as in what would be the ideal loss I'm going to incur. So that day I had already found out कि करीब 2 point something something का मेरे को होगा, ठीक है, खुलते ही होगा. So now I keep myself mentally prepared. What happens is, a market खुलने के बाद if I'm going to notice this thing, then I'll get into panic mode. Yeah, and then I'll do random things, and वो 2 का 8 बच जाएगा, 10 बन जाएगा, and I'll into deep trouble. So now when I've done my maths, I'm into a fresh slate. मुझे पता है मार्केट खुलते मेरे को मार्केट ऑर्डर पे एग्जिट करना है. इंटरेस्टिंगली मैं हमेशा एक एक्सट्रीम पॉइंट पे लेके चलता हूँ. 2 पॉइंट जो समथिंग था, आई एक्चुअली क्लोज एट 1.3 या 1.2, 1.3, 1.2 उसी टाइम पे. बट आई एम ऑलवेज कंसिडरिंग अ वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो कि भले वो गैप डाउन इतना दिखा रहा हो सकता है और भी इससे 2% इंडेक्स इधर उधर हो जाए, तो आई एम कंसिडरिंग. तो
Correct.
पहली चीज है, वहां से मेरा मोराल को एक बूस्ट मिल जाता है कि अच्छा मैं पहले ही सोचा, ठीक है, देखिए दिस इज लॉस, बस दिस इज हाउ आई एम ट्रिकिंग माय ब्रेन्स कि 2 का लॉस में सोचा था, इट इज कमिंग अराउंड 1.2. फर्स्ट थिंग इज डन. नाउ बिकॉज नाउ आई एम ऑन अ क्लीन स्लेट, बिकॉज ऑफ a lot of people ना, they are not able to let go of their ego. They are not ready to accept that वो लॉस होगा. अरे भाई होगा, अब आपने गलत पोजीशन लिया है, why to fight the trend? Just understand. And then if I see that yes, it's going down, I'll actually go into the trend and try to short that position. तो प्रॉब्लम बहुतों के साथ होती है कि फर्स्ट गेट प्रिपेयर्ड, सेकंड इफ ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर डे यू आर नॉट गेटिंग एनी अपॉर्चुनिटी ना, बेटर इज सिट ऑन द साइड लाइन wait for the next 2-3 days, you'll get some opportunity, get into. And finally intraday पे अगर मेरा एक लिमिट है, so let's take an example, अगर नॉर्मल रिटेल इसको देख रहा है, उसका लिमिट है 10,000, आप फिक्स कर लो अपना कि 10,000 इज द मैक्स आई कैन लूज ऑन माय कैपिटल ऑफ 2 lakh या वॉट एवर. जैसे
Yeah.
ही होता है ना, डोंट वेट फॉर अ लिमिट ऑर्डर योर स्टॉप लॉस, click the market order there itself, shut the screen, shut Telegram, shut Twitter, shut Facebook till 3:30, because otherwise you will be tempted, and just go and watch Netflix, Amazon Prime. That is how I've consumed a lot of series. So, and that is how. And also you would see that there's another hack to avoid over trading, so that मैं इस पे loss कर ना दूं. What I do is, you would find that after 10:30, 11 on Twitter also you'll find sometimes active. So a lot of people question why. That's my hack of distracting myself from the trading screen. So when I'm using Twitter, it's probably not on that same laptop. It's on the tab or maybe another desktop where I don't have any trading related stuff. So these are a few tricks which everyone can actually incorporate.
Interesting, yeah, Abhishek. So one thing is you have your fixed stop loss for the day, very important, and don't overtrade because I mean, if you overtrade, I mean, generally you get into the revenge trading, and revenge trading's never made money for anyone. I
Absolutely.
mean, let's talk about a few of your strategies, a few things that you kind of do to, or what you're comfortable. First, I understand you're a derivatives trader. Let's talk about equities. I mean, you are an investor as well as a trader. My question is, let's assume you have a stock. A stock is in your investment portfolio. It also looks good trading. What would you do? Would you buy
So for
new? Would you use the same stock? What's your
So
approach?
first of all, my investing portfolio and trading portfolio are in different demats. I don't try to mix them up. So a lot of people, they think that it's better to pledge the stocks and then against it. I'm not against this thing, but usually what happens is, let's say if you're pledging the stock and you go all in into your option or derivatives trade, if the derivatives trade are going wrong, one fine day you might end up squaring off your good positions in the investment portfolio. And that is
Right.
precisely what has happened in COVID, happened with the Russia-Ukraine war also. So
Yeah.
I don't try to mix up both of those in major of the situations. So first of all, it's different. Second thing is, for investing portfolio, what I've realized because of my past mistakes is I usually end up booking little early. And early for me is like 2x, 3x also. But that's also early in the sense because I've seen the similar kind of stock. So I would name disclaimer, I'm not suggesting anyone to buy or sell this stock, but Avanti Feeds. So Avanti Feeds, I'd picked up at a very reasonable price. 3x, I was very excited that wow, I've made so much. And later on, within just 2 years, I'd seen where that stock had actually skyrocketed around 16 or 18, 2016 or 18 something. And believe me, if the amount which I was holding into that particular stock, if I would have held it on just for another 2 years, I probably wouldn't have to trade options for the next 5 years. That would have been the power. So I did this mistake again with a couple of other stocks also. Few had favored me really well, like Rain Industry I was holding from 36 to 300, and Ashok Leyland from 24, 26 to 150. These were like some good this thing, but in most of the cases, to be very honest, I've messed up the this thing. So what I realized, it's better not to touch the compounding machine. Let's keep it separate. Every quarter, once monitoring is fine. If the fundamentals are actually getting deviated, if the management is suddenly getting into some other expansion role or any other role, I'll take an exit. So that's number one. Now, since you're asking, so let's say I'm just assuming that, let's say Tata Motors is into my investing portfolio and Tata Motors also come into trading portfolio. So the very first thing is, investment psychology was different. It was taken
Yeah.
from a long-term perspective. So I'm not going to mess up with this thing. Tata Motors at this point of time, let's say on intraday, if it is going below VWAP, it is going good volume breakdown, plus it's breaking a trend line. So it's a game for a single day for me. So I'm probably fine with selling it off. I don't have an emotion attached that, oh no, I'm actually holding on to this thing. So the beautiful thing which I've done is, by separating both the accounts, I don't get emotionally hooked up that yaar ye to mera
Yeah.
investment hai, isko kaise karu. Second is, to be very honest, I often try not to keep the similar kind of stocks in the watch list. So in this case, Tata Motor बहुत अगर अच्छा volume action आया, बहुत अच्छा VWAP breakdown आया, तो probably it would be in my watch list. But otherwise in FNO and everything, अगर आप Nifty 500 में से भी देखोगे, close to 180 good stocks are there which will give you momentum almost every second, third day. So you have plenty of options to be there. And next thing which I've done is, I'll tell you, Nainesh, psychological again, a hack out there. So I did a simple calculation कि चलो बहुत सारे लोग जो ये वीडियो भी देख रहे हैं, वो काफी एक्सपोजर निफ्टी 50 के स्टॉक्स में लेते हैं. मेरा सिंपल सा कहना है कि इफ यू हैव टू टेक एक्सपोजर ओनली इनटू निफ्टी 50 स्टॉक, एंड यू वुड फाइंड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल, दे विल रेप्लिकेट द एंटायर थिंग. एशियन पेंट के 10 शेयर लेंगे, 5 स्टॉक. मैं बोला, अगर इतना ही करना है तो व्हाई नॉट टेक इंडेक्स फंड एंड ईटीएफ, बिकॉज दैट इज गोइंग टू रेप्लिकेट द सेम इन द सेम रेशियो विद द लीस्ट अमाउंट ऑफ मनी आउट देयर. सो मेरा निफ्टी 50 का एक्सपोजर उधर हो गया. सो मोस्टली आई कॉल इट माई विजय केडिया पोर्टफोलियो, जहां पर मैंने कुछ स्मॉल कैप रखे हैं कि कल को 20 साल बाद बड़े बन गए तो हम भी थोड़ा प्रचार प्रसार में आ जाएंगे. So and that is some amount which I'm ready to even lose it out, because those are into small caps and mid caps. तो अब स्मॉल कैप मिड कैप में हो गया ना, तो आई एम यूजुअली नॉट ट्रेडिंग बिकॉज हार्डली दोज आर इन एफएनओ ऑल्सो. सो मेरा वो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ही नहीं आता. तो मैंने निफ्टी 50 के स्टॉक में कहा ताकि ये चीज ना पड़े, तो उनके लिए इंडेक्स फंड ईटीएफ कर लिया है. आई हैव वन और टू स्टॉक्स आउट देयर फ्रॉम निफ्टी 50 ऑल्सो, बट बाकी हमारा स्मॉल कैप मिड कैप से. सो दिस इज हाउ इट डजंट कम इन बिटवीन.
Interesting. I think some of them we discussed in our Murat video also, some of the stocks that you were finding interesting in the Nifty 50 also. So, yeah, I mean, I follow the same thing, investment separate from trading, and always keep them separate. I mean, ensure that you don't mix them because you land up, in your words, stopping the compounding machine. And that's something we cannot afford to do. So I think
Correct.
that's a very, very clear picture. And I get this question a lot of times. The next one, the next big question. Tell me, Abhishek, as a trader, having the mentality, you're okay to accept losses. Let's talk about profits. Let's talk about gains. Tell us about this one of few instances that you can, where you've had like enough gain, and how do you kind of manage that? Because happiness, though, वैसे भी, you can't keep it within. So tell us, what
Hmm.
do you do? When you make your money, where do you put it into investment? Do you re-put it into trading? Tell us more about that.
So the ideal psychology at this point of time since the last 4 years is most of my trading profits actually go into investing. So I do my maths, I reduce 42% out of it, and then because I have to calculate everything, tax fax सारी चीजें कर ली, and after that I'm actually putting जो भी होता है उसका एक substantial sum I'm actually putting into this thing. तो वो तो मैं एक चीज करता हूँ. But another thing is, so I'll tell you two incidents where I made a decent amount of profits. I still feel a lot of it is not to do just with skills, it is also to do with instincts, and it's just not with me, with everyone. So George Soros, if you say 1992 mein he actually shot Bank of England and made $1 billion, I wouldn't say कि उसको सारा चीज पता था. In fact, he himself confesses. So he's like, he built up a conviction, he got intuitive abilities, and then he started selling heavy, to be damn with the position sizing. He was there with clients 40% funds, which is absolutely against the risk management principles, but he made $1 billion. And likewise, Paul Tudor Jones, right place, right time, he made good amount of money. Black Friday or Black Wednesday, he made this thing. So for me, some of the biggest gains have been made during bearish moves. So that's why you would see that I'm a bearish trader and a bullish investor. So being a bear, I've made significant amounts. So I'll tell you like this recent COVID one also, and before that also I can talk about 2019 also, 2016 also. So at that point of time, I didn't have puts or something, but I was shorting from futures. 12200, I remember approximately, is where I'd actually started, and it's on public domain. I had actually mentioned on Twitter also that at that time there was no signs of COVID or something. And the only mistake I did is I probably thought that 6500 bhi aa jayega, became a little greedy. My trailing stop losses got hit around 9100, 9200, but it's still okay, 12200. So I had a good roll up
Yeah.
and this thing. IndusInd Bank from 4 digits to almost 3 digits, we had some shots. So, to be very honest, initial years like 2015, 14, 16, it was difficult to keep yourself calm during euphoria. You usually get pumped up and you feel like you're at the top of the world. And interestingly, the days when I made good gains in 14 or 15, within like 2, 3 days, I made even the bigger losses because I couldn't cope up with this thing. Like, yes, now I can make money. But now what I've done is I remain numb irrespective of. So I was watching an interview and that resonates with me. Like watching an interview, I was talking to someone. I think I was talking with someone from this thing. So Nikhil is a good trader. Nikhil Kamath, he's a very good trader. So someone was telling me that the interesting part of Nikhil is today also he'll be down by let's say 5%. You can't make out of his face. He's numb. And even if he has made let's say 7%, you can't see it on the face. So that's an attribute of a trader. So you really need to be numb. Money after a certain point should become a game for you. Yes, the more you make, you definitely feel happy, but you need to understand the consequences. If you get into that euphoric mode, things will actually turn bad. So what I do is, let's say if I have a very good streak, very good amount of money which I built upon a certain thing, I usually take a break. A lot of people say that after losing you should take a break, but on the contrary, yes, that is where you should take a break. But after winning big lotteries, I would say lotteries at that time, I'll give you a simple incident. So it was, I didn't know this thing. So I had spotted one jewelry company. Now there are not much jewelry company. It's an FNO, so one can make out which
Yeah.
one I'm talking about. And there was a
Yeah.
GST meet on that Friday evening, and I
Okay.
didn't know about this thing. This is around 3 years back or something like that, 2019, 18, something around that. And I didn't know. All based on my chart patterns, everything was looking good, and I was ready to buy this thing for a few weeks. So what I'd done is I'd actually bought an options for that particular counter. And now, interesting thing, what happens is within this thing. So I actually picked up the options for this thing. On Sunday, I get to know that this was the verdict and everything has been good for this thing. Next day, the stock actually gaps up by 15 to 16%. Now, I've seen a lot of people confuse luck with skill. I wouldn't say it was pure skill. It was also, it had a lot to do with my luck also. But then what I did is, this is the time when I actually made gains. And this time I had got my lessons from 14 and 16 that once you get euphoric, you might end up losing money. So 15%, I had booked 50% position. It went up to 19% on that particular day. I booked my rest gains. Because see, once the momentum is created, the short sellers
Right.
would actually run for the cover. And
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is precisely what happened. So I got good amount of money out there. I closed the screen for the next 3 days. I didn't trade. So this is precisely what I do. Don't trade for 2 3 days after you had the screen. That's my fund. My funda.
So I understand, Abhishek, that you also travel when you're taking these breaks, and that's the reason you're always on the flight whenever we try to reach out. So
Correct.
I mean, amazing. Yeah, the last time I was chatting with Vishal and I asked him the same question, saying, "Hey, how do you handle your losses?" He said, "I'm partying. Every time I make a loss, I go out party, take it light, and come to the market fresh." I'm hearing the opposite from you. Every time I make money, I go out party, go out travel, and then come back with a fresh mind. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's always said, don't make decisions for yourself, especially trading, when you're at the lowest or the highest, because you'll end up
On the
taking,
emotional level.
yeah,
Absolutely.
wrong. Yeah. So lovely. I think that's a good learning, and that's a good learning for me as well. I'm trying to kind of cope with that emotion. I'm a discretionary trader. For me, emotion is very, very important because it's
So so
discretion.
so same as with me. Almost 70% of my trades fall into the same category. It's just 30% which is there. So for discretionary, it's very important that you need to have that control over emotions. And unless you're not having, because see, system traders, they have so particularly algorithmic traders. So they have their own setup, they have their own systems which are deciding that this is where you exit, this is where, like what Vishal Bhai is actually doing at this point of time. But for people like us, so we have the best of both the worlds. So, for example, when there would be a momentum, we would be probably gaining more than these people. But
Yes.
then, when there is a drawdown, we need to understand where to jam break. So, what I've understood is, even if you're discretionary, you should act systematic. Even if you're discretionary, act systematic in the sense, like I said, let's say your capital is 2 lakh, the worst case. So, there is something I'll tell you, an interesting thing for your viewers also.
Sure.
So there is a stop loss. Everyone talks about stop loss. I talk about another angle to it, emotional stop loss. What is it? So a lot of people say that, let's say you buy something at 100 and your stop loss is at 98. What if market gaps down at 93, 92? What would you do? A lot of people get confused. Should I really wait for that 94, 95? Or what if it keeps on going further down? So my thing is emotional stop loss. So let's say 100 is where I'm buying, 98 is my stop loss. Worst case scenario, let's say I am ready to take pain till 95. So now, even if it is opening at 94, I'm going to exit at market because it has breached my emotional stop loss. And in most of the cases, it is going to create more pain. It's better to come out clean slate, think from a calm mind, and then get into this thing. That's the best thing which I can suggest.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
think
an
emotional
emotional
stop
stop.
loss very,
Yes.
very important. Okay, big learning for everyone who's also discretionary like us here. I was going to ask you this question: discretionary versus system. The first thing is, where's the comfort? So I know you do a lot of discretion as well. And second is, what are the pros and cons? Like in short, if you can just tell us, our
Very
viewers.
simple. System beyond a certain capital, you really need to get into systematic trading. It depends on which scale you want to play. So, see, there are few people who are managing funds who are doing a lot of other things, bigger corpus. So, them, it's a mandatory thing because discretionary, you cannot manage 100 crore, 200 crore, 500 crore. It becomes really difficult. For someone who is just looking around that I want to earn decent, I want to have a good living standard, and I'm fine. I don't want to make billions or something. I would say even discretionary would work because beyond a certain capital, there is a this thing. Second thing is system trading would obviously, this is my personal opinion. So this actually caps your profitability to some extent, because it is giving you a cushion of comfort. So it's like, ha, I am going to make 15 to 20, 18% every year. That is something what discretionary does give you an opportunity, that once or 4 or 5 times in a year you will get an opportunity where you get 3x 4x, which can actually increase your compounding rate, let's say, to 35 40 45% also. So that's the kind of benefit which we are actually gaining. Third thing which I feel is, system is like, it's completely defined. If it is going to cut off at 50, 50 is where you have to wait, even if you can see that at 80 also you can cut down your stop loss if you have bought at 100. Discretionary, I've got that liberty. I can see that market is into halla woo. I have seen the previous history that yes, this is exactly what happens. I'm going to cut it short at 80 and then relax maybe at 50 when it comes. I'm going to buy it. So these are a few advantages. So discretionary is going to definitely take a toll over the minds of a lot of people. That's the con side. It does take. Second, because we are emotional fools, all human beings are emotional fools. A lot of people are not able to do really well on discretionary. But as I said, if you can make a hybrid, you can you can do discretionary but act systematic, then you can definitely make good amount of money. And the world has actually proven on both the ends that yes, there have been discretionary traders also, as well as system traders, as well as algorithmic traders, and all have made good amount of money. So this is exactly what I would say.
I agree, and also I'm sure you will agree with this fact as well. Every systematic trader was once a discretionary trader, so we
Absolutely,
all
absolutely.
start discretionary. So, having said
Correct.
that, Abhishek, also I'd like to tell you, we've started at Fisdom. We've started initiative called the 1% Academy, where we are actually kind of launching courses for people to learn from us and experts like yourselves. How to kind of manage trading, technical analysis, options. And let me tell you that some of the new traders, some people who are just entering trading, dabbling with charts for the first time, are doing an amazing job. They might just buy one share, but sometimes today itself we saw someone who made 11%. With one share.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
what's important is to kind of get there. So
Correct.
I would kind of say that at the start, discretionary is the way we go until you mature as a trader. Like you said, capital is something which is needed, and once you get your capital, you can kind of become hybrid to then becoming systematic. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so excellent. Tell us, obviously I'll not let you go without telling us a few AK hacks. For us, our people who are listening to us today, just tell us, let's say, two hacks that we as traders should keep in mind or follow, so that we ensure that we are there in market every single time to make
Hmm.
money.
So first thing is, this is something which you must have heard very often over there. But so let me tell you first the other thing, my Netflix hack, which I already talked about. But let me tell you that a lot of time you might see that the markets are not favoring, markets are not into the right direction. Maybe your setup is not qualifying. It doesn't make sense to enter that trade. So my only point is, even if your setup is qualifying by just 60%, don't enter that trade. Wait for that 90 to 100% time. So what I always say is that 90% of the time I'm just seeing the screen, it's only 10% of the time when I'm trading. This is the first attribute which every trader needs to bring if they really want to be successful. A lot of people have this urge that I just need to trade every other trade which is passing by. That's not the way. That's a sure short technique of blowing up your entire capital. So that's the first. For 90% of the time you just have to witness the screen, 10% of the time you have to trade. That's the first thing. And the second, the most important aspect I would say is that leverage is also what do we call, a double sword kind of thing. That yes, it can make you good amount of money and it can cut you off also. So I'm not like ki you should completely avoid leverage. No, that's not. If you're coming into trading, you need to have a bit amount of leverage. Some people would say we are doing option selling, we don't take leverage. Option itself is by default a leverage tool, so you can't deny this thing. So everyone is taking leverage, but वो जो बोलते हैं ना, उतनी ही पैर फंसाओ जितना चादर है, समथिंग लाइक दैट. सो
Yeah.
this is precisely what one needs to do. Problem, a lot of people talk about bad stories about trading, but they don't realize this all bad things actually happen when you're going beyond your means. So let's take an example, LTCM, which was a very big hedge fund. It was being run by some of the top minds. It included Nobel laureates, included everyone. A lot of people say कि देखो इतना बड़ा hedge fund भी गिर गया, but they don't realize that they had capital under management of close to 120 $128 billion, or they were taking actually 100x ka leverage. So at one point or the other time, obviously, so they were getting a CAGR of 40 to 48%. But currency pairs will, yeah, one fine day some black swan kind of thing happened with the European currency, and then they blew up entire thing. So it's majorly, you look into the history of financial markets, is the leverage which has caused pain to everyone. Highest leverage actually caused the debacle of Harshad Mehta, a debacle of Ketan Parekh, it caused the debacle of LTCM, it caused the debacle of that Nick Leeson.
Lehman
Every
Brothers.
Lehman Brothers, everything is related to leverage. So leverage control पे रखो 90% of the times आप screen देखो 10% trade करो. These are the two hacks.
Sure, I'm going to take a question from Akshata. So she's asking you, saying, which indicators do you find comfortable working with? Any pointers to new traders on indicators?
Okay, so first of all, there is always a debate between indicator या price action. I am a hybrid trader and I don't say कि indicators are bad. If indicators were bad, all the brokers would have stopped giving indicators by now. So there's nothing bad, but the problem is when you start incorporating 10, 20 indicators on a single screen, then you don't realize it becomes a Picasso painting rather than a trading screen. So first of all, just fix two to three indicators. For me, for intraday, I use VWAP. That's why people call Dr. VWAP also. So that's one favorable this thing. So try to make a mix of two, three things. One trend indicator, one trend indicator, another one could be a lagging one like a moving average, it could be a moving average crossover also, and another one could be an oscillator or an RSI just to look into the strength of the momentum. So just three of them, just try to do a mix match of everything by a few fluctuations and then try to incorporate. That's all you need. That's for intraday. For swing, obviously you can go either with a moving average crossover, golden crossover, moving averages, and a mix of price action. So a mix of both would eventually give you good results. So two to three indicators at max.
Yeah, Akshata, I think he beautifully explained how you can use price action along with indicators. I have one question and one very very important one. Abhishek, I'm going to take that. We have someone who's asking, sir, fundamental कैसे पता चलता है कि आज एक particular stock ऊपर खुलेगा? How do you understand out of fundamentals that the stock will go up today? And if this is a way to, how do you get the skill of understanding this? So.
So
Abhishek,
first
to
of
you.
all, my dear friend, with fundamental, you cannot access which stock is going to go up the next day. आप नहीं पता कर सकते हो. Fundamental, आप समझिए fundamental एक long term investor का tool है. वो fundamental analysis इसलिए कर रहा है ताकि 2-3 साल बाद वो देखेगा how the business is performing. Business कैसा कर रहा है? So I'll give a very simple example. Let's say you do all the research, everything Nainesh about a चाय का ठेला. यू कांट एक्यूरेटली प्रिडिक्ट कल वो कितना चाय बेचेगा. अगर ऑडियंस ही नहीं आई तो वो दो ही चाय बेचेगा, अगर बहुत सारे आ गए तो हो सकता है वो 200 चाय बेच देगा. सो यूजिंग फंडामेंटल एनालिसिस यू कांट डू, बट यूजिंग टेक्निकल एनालिसिस इस चाय वाले के केस में, लेट्स से आप 10 दिन तक देख रहे हो. वाओ, आई डिडंट रियलाइज आई मेड अप एन गुड एग्जांपल ओवर हियर. सो लेट्स से आप मंडे को जाते हो, आप देखते हो कि 7 लोगों ने चाय ली है, ट्यूसडे को जाते हो 10 लोगों ने ली है, वेडनेसडे को जाते हो 6 लोगों ने ली है. नाउ यू कैन कम अप विद एन एवरेज, सो यू कैन डिसाइड कि अच्छा फ्राइडे को मोर और लेस 6 से 10 के बीच में. सो नाउ यू कैन टेक एन एक्यूरेट बेट. So fundamental से दोस्त आप next day predict नहीं कर सकते. और technical maybe there are a few things. So for example, end of the day, if you have seen that there are a couple of major actions which have taken, a very good solid volume breakout or breakdown has happened around a crucial moving average or around a good price action point, around a good support and resistance, that is exactly what, or a very significant OI breakout has happened, then you definitely get this thing. So not fundamental, but on technical के basis पे you can get a good probability, guaranteed probability.
Probability, yeah. And I think that is more important, Abhishek. Out of the full answer with an amazing example, by the way, the last one is, I think, something which is very, very important. And that's something which traders have not yet, a lot of traders I know have not yet digested. That whatever you learn, however strong the study is, there's still a probability of winning, right?
Correct.
We still lose and everyone does. I mean, there's never a time that every trader makes money every single day. It's not even possible. So,
Correct, correct.
I think that's a wonderful answer. So, I hope you've got your answer. Fundamentals is more like you're studying it for a longer time frame. Like Abhishek the last time spoke and he said, hey, my time frame is a very, very long time. I like to stick by 10, 12 years, sometimes even longer. And that's what he bets stocks on. That doesn't tell him that every stock of his should go up every single day. It's not possible. But technicals will give you a fair idea. So, the study which you have to kind of do is technical analysis. It's a skill again. It's a skill. It's an art. Yeah, I mean, I suggest if you'd like to come and learn with us, feel free to come. 1% Academy. We teach you how to see charts and how to learn it. So yeah, Abhishek, we've spoken about fundamentals. We've spoken about technicals. Let's talk about the third one. We spoke about you being a trader. We spoke about you being an investor. The third one, the most important one, the glamour influencer. You've been around actually spreading a lot of knowledge I personally follow you. I've seen the amount of conviction that you put out stuff. Sometimes you say, hey, I was wrong. Sometimes you come out and say, listen to this, and this is a story you must tell us. How much time do you actually spend researching about it? What is the field to kind of put it out? Tell us more about what made you get into this world of sharing knowledge. Very interesting to
So
know.
I was taking a session in a college in Mumbai. So that is where after the session was done, some students came up to me. They said that you have a very good knack of making people understand through stories and everything. So why don't you actually come on social media? And I was like, so far I hardly use social media. I wasn't there on Insta, Facebook. I'm probably one of those people who came very late on these all platforms. Insta maybe around 2020 or something. I came something like that, like active and all. So this is precisely was the turning point. I said, okay, let me just try. So that is where it all began. And now the biggest advantage which I get through these media platforms is the reach. So for example, Nanesh, right now we are speaking from Mumbai as of now, and you can just see people sitting in Delhi, Noida, Calcutta, and even after you record this video and you put it up on your channel, a lot of people will be able to witness. So that's the power of these media platforms. I wasn't even going on Instagram, but lately I realized that a lot of young crowds who needs to get educated is probably out there. So let's try it out over there. So Instagram also, but Instagram is more like a fun field for me. I'm just enjoying my time out there. So this is exactly what made me get into all these kind of things, and so far enjoying the journey. Talking about the time it takes, honestly, from that category, I wouldn't even fit into an influencer this thing because I'm probably the one who's giving the least time. I know that if I do this thing, if I put good amount of time, I can cross million subscribers and everything out there. But that's probably not my agenda. Numbers are not that important for me. What's important for me if I'm enjoying the process, and since I'm trading myself, investing myself, so a lot of time my content actually comes out of that same thing also. That today I've made a loss, so I'll build up a psychology video around this thing. Today I've made a profit, how I handled this thing, a lot of those things. And since I read a lot of things, diverse things around finance, so it becomes very convenient for me to extract those stories, build up my in my own words, and then tell it to the audiences in Hindi. So this is exactly what I do.
Yeah, it's always very interesting to kind of see these videos and learn something new every time. And guys, I'm going to give a little bit of spoiler to you. Okay, Abhishek is here in Mumbai, and he's shooting an amazing video with two types of option traders. One is the option buyer, the other is option seller. I'm going to look forward to this video, Abhishek. Lots of
Amazing.
learnings, I'm sure of that.
Sure, sure, sure. We just shot that video a few moments back. Guys, we are back to back shooting, and both the traders have actually phenomenally delivered. So that would be up on my channel. So amazing. Nanish, I'll share the link with you as well.
Sure. And guys, if you want to kind of listen to people like Abhishek, get knowledge, feel free to subscribe to our channel. Ensure that you put in the comments what do you want to learn from Abhishek. Abhishek, the next time you're on our channel, we'll ensure that you teach us a strategy. You teach us, how to make money. The most important part. Psychology तो समझ गए अभी पैसा कैसे बनाते हैं वो सीखेंगे. So guys,
बिल्कुल.
put your comments here. Tell us what you'd like to learn. We'll ensure Abhishek gives us time and he's here to kind of talk to us and share some strategies of his. Abhishek, on that note, thank you so much. It's been amazing, talking with you. The first time around, the Murat, I saw the investor in you, the one that said bet on India. India is the favorite now. Today, I saw the trader in you, the trader that says that, hey, right psychology, you can make money. So amazing. I've had an amazing time. Thank you for being associated with Fisdom, and we look forward to learning from you even further.
Thank you so much, Nanish, for inviting. Hopefully, people who have listened to this thing will get a lot of value. And Nanish, again, I would say you're a wonderful host. And just for a note, this also requires a lot of skill sets. So great job, Nanish. And thank you, Fisdom, for inviting me over here.
Thank you so much, guys. Ensure you put it down on the comments, and we'll have Abhishek. And next time around, we'll have more traders. We keep learning how to get better at trading. Thank you, Abhishek. Take care and see you guys. Have a good weekend.